Today we're talking about solving systems of linear equations in 3 variables. I briefly mentioned this yesterday. So, yesterday and before today, we have been solving systems of linear equations, but they've always had 2 variables. When they have 2 variables, there's going to be 2 equations. When there's 3 variables, there's going to be 3 equations. Because you need 3 equations in order to change things around so that you can solve, okay? Now, when you write your answers, you will write them as an ordered triple, okay? Whenever you write answers, you write them in alphabetical order. It goes X, Y, and then Z. If your letters were A, B, and C, you'd write it as A, B, and C. You guys are smart, right? Okay. So, on example 1, if you're determining if this is a solution, we need to plug these 3 values in for X, Y, and Z. If it works for one, we need to keep checking. As soon as it doesn't work for one, we can stop because the answer is not a solution, no, false, whatever you want to write. Yes? Do you think you guys can do this on your own? Yes. I think you're pretty smart. First 3 to get it right, get a candy. And you have to show work, because I know you could just like write true or false and then, you know. Okay, also thumbs up for true, thumbs down for false. Good, 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 good. Candy's gone, so good. Good. All right, here we go. The answer is actually false. Okay, so let's check this out. Again, like I told you, it goes X, Y, and then Z. So when I plug these numbers in, and always be careful with negatives, I have 4 times negative 3 minus 3 times 4 plus 5 times 1. And then remember, we're checking to see, does this equal negative 19? So when we go through here, 4 times negative 3 is what? Negative 12. Negative 3 times negative 4 is? Negative 12 plus 5 times 1 is, oh wait, that's not. What do I have? Oh, I did a different one on here. Okay, 5 times 1 is 5. All right, so we go through here, we get negative 24 plus 5 equals negative 19. So does that one work? Yes, this one is true. Okay, so now we need to go down to the second equation. Okay, so here we have 3 times negative 3 plus a negative 4 minus 8 times 1, and we're checking to see if this is equal to negative 21. Okay, 3 times negative 3 is negative 9 minus 4 minus 8. Okay, negative 9 minus 4 makes negative 13, and negative 13 minus 8 makes negative 21. Okay, so this one also works. So now we need to try the third one. We have negative 2 times negative 3 plus 2 times 4 plus 3 times 1, and we're checking to see if it equals 13. What is negative 2 times negative 3? 6. What is 2 times 4? 8. What is 3 times 1? 3. 6 plus 8 is? 14 plus 3 is? Does 17 equal 13? No, so this answer is false. It has to work for every single one. Some of you started with the last one, which is why you got it done so quickly. Okay? So we never know which one may or may not work, right? Questions on example 1? Okay, example 2, it says solve the system. This is a pretty nice problem. And why would I say that this problem is nice? Good. On the last problem, we can divide by 2 on the bottom and get z by itself. Normally, once you have the answer for one variable, all you have to do is plug it into other equations and you get all the other answers. So if we take this equation and we divide by 2 to both sides, what does z equal? -2. Okay, so there's one answer. What equation would be best to plug this into now? Good, the second one, right here. So here I have y plus a -2 equals 12. And what would I do to solve that? Good, add your 2. And we get y equals 14. Okay, now that we have that answer, what am I going to do? Right, but what else am I going to plug into the first one? Z. So I'm going to plug the z value in plus the y value in, and I can go back and get the x. So I have x plus 14 minus 3 times -2 equals 10. We have x plus 14, and -3 times -2 is +6 equals 10. 14 plus 6 is, so I have x plus 20 equals 10. Lastly. Perfect. And we get x equals -10. How do I write my answer? X, Y, Z. So -10, 14, -2. And that is my answer. Any questions so far? Okay, moving on. So we have the elimination method. So we're just going to kind of talk about this, and then we'll go down to do the example. Your step 1 is to pair 2 of the equations and use elimination to cancel out one of the variables. So the object is to end up getting 2 equations that just have 2 variables. Because once you have that, then you can cancel those out and find one variable. Okay? So, again, pair 2 equations, use elimination to cancel out one of the variables. Pair different 2 equations and use elimination to cancel out the same variable, because you want 2 equations with 2 of the same variables. Okay? And then it's like going back to what we've been doing with the 2 variables and solving. Okay. Remember that if you get an answer like 0 equals 1, that is no solution, where 0 equals 0 would be infinitely many solutions or all reals. Okay? So, let's look at example 3. This is where some of you get to be a little bit challenged, if you like to be challenged, which hopefully you do. Okay, so we have 3 equations. Some of the equations have 3 variables, some of them have 2 variables. But we need 2 equations that have the same 2 variables. My issue here is that this has a y and a z, and this has an x and a z. We need 2 equations that both have y and z, or both have x and z. Okay? So I'm going to have to end up adding 2 equations together, probably using the first one and then one of these, to end up canceling out x's or y's. So, when I look here, see how if I add these 2 equations together, it'd be very easy to get rid of the x's. And then I would end up with an equation that just has y and z, right? And then I already have an equation that just has y and z. But in order to cancel out the x's, I'll need to do what? To one of the equations. We'll have to multiply by a -1, okay? So just to kind of give you a progression, I'm going to write number 1 here like this is our step 1. I'm going to first rewrite that top equation, which is x plus 2y plus 3z equals -1. Then I'm going to take this bottom equation right here, and we're going to multiply it by a -1 so that it ends up canceling out the x's. The thing you want to pay attention is that you line up your variables with the correct variable, the one that matches with it, so you don't mess up. So when I multiply through, I get a -x, a -5z, but I'm going to skip the y part and then just write -5z lining up with the z, equals, and -1 times -7 makes a +7. So then we add down. Well, the x's cancel, which is what we wanted, correct? 2y doesn't match with anything, so I just bring the 2y down. 3z and -5z makes -2z, equals, and 7 times -1, or sorry, 7 and -1 make 6. Okay, so now this equation right here and this equation right here, notice how they both have a y and a z. Do you guys see that? So now we are going to use these two equations to cancel out another variable so that we can get the answer for either y or z. So when you look at those two equations, what's the easiest variable to get rid of? Z. And do we have to do anything to get rid of the z? No. Okay, so step 2 here, I'm just going to write both of these equations. So I have 3y plus 2z equals -1. And I have 2y minus 2z equals 6. Oops, sorry, you can't see. So when we add these down, these cancel, and we get 5y equals what? 5. To solve for y now, all we do is divide by 5, and we get y equals what? 1. Okay, once you have one answer, most of the time, all you have to do now is start plugging this back in. So what would be the best equation to plug this y equals 1 back into? Good, if you go over here, probably the second one, because when I plug y in, then I can just solve for z, right? Okay, so we're going to take that, and we're going to plug it in over here. So I'm going to go with step 3, and we're going to write that as 3 times 1 plus 2z equals -1. And we solve. So we get 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 2z equals -1. We subtract 3 to both sides, and we have 2z equals -4, so therefore z equals -2. Good. Okay, now what variable do I still need to find? X. What would be the easiest equation to use? Good, that last one right here, because it just says x and z. Okay, so we're going to take our z value and we're going to plug it in here. So my step 4 now, we have x plus 5 times -2 equals -7. 5 times -2 is -10, so x minus 10 equals -7. We add 10 to both sides, and we find that x equals 3. And then how do I write my answer? Good, x, y, z. So we have 3, 1, -2 for our answer. Okay, so it's a little bit of work, but if you take your time, you can do it. It just takes a little bit of thinking skills. Okay, are you guys ready for example 4? Okay, so this one again, 3 variables, you need 3 equations. Looking through here, which variable looks like it's going to be the easiest to eliminate? The y's. Okay, so what 2 equations should we add together first? Good. So our first step is, let's go ahead and add these 2 together. So I'm going to rewrite them just so that you can see them. I know some of you can just do this in your head, but sometimes in your notes it's better to like write out just a little bit more, so if you get confused it's easier for you to come back and review it than if you like skip steps. So here these cancel. 2x and 4x is 6x, plus 4z and 8z is 12z, equals 18. Good. Okay, so we need to cancel out. We need one more equation that has two variables, and we only want the variables to be x and z. So which two equations are we going to add together now? Good, the bottom two. Okay, so we're taking these two now and adding them together. So again, I'm just going to rewrite this over here. And then the second one is 4x minus 2y plus 8z equals 12. So I add these together. These cancel, right? I have 8x plus 16z equals 24. So now I have these two equations. Okay? Notice they both have two variables and they are the same two variables. Now we need to eliminate one of those variables. What variable would you like to eliminate, the x or the z? X. So if we want to eliminate the x, what do I need to multiply the first one by? 4. And then I need to multiply this equation by what? -3. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and write step 3 right here, and I'm going to multiply 4 through on number 1 equation. So when I do that, I get 4 times 6 is 24x, plus 4 times 12 is 48z, equals, and 4 times 18 is 72. On number 2, I multiply by -3, and I get -24x. -3 times 16 is -48z, equals, and -3 times 24 is -72. What happened here? What happens when you get 0 equals 0? All reals. Or infinitely many solutions means the same thing. Questions? So that one, since everything canceled out, we had less work, okay? But if we'd gotten the answer finally, then we would have taken this answer and plugged it into one of these. And then you'd take both those answers and plug it in to get your last variable. Yes? The last one right here. So here I multiplied 4 through on the red to get the top one, and then I multiplied -3 through here to get this second equation. Because the object was we decided to get rid of the x's, so I had to multiply to make them both 24. Okay? Any other questions on that? All right. So next we have what? Word problems. I love your attitudes. Okay. So these are slightly different than the other word problems. Again, because mainly we have how many variables? 3. Okay, so let's look to see what our variables are representing. If we start reading this first sentence, it says one shopper bought 2 packs of gum, 3 candy bars, and 1 bag of chips for $3.07. So these are your X, Y's, and Z. Gum is X, candy bars are Y, chips are Z. And we could go ahead and write those too if you wanted to. You know, gum equals X, candy equals Y, chips equal Z. So on this one, it's talking about like what people are purchasing and the amount they spent. So we're going to write our three equations. So my first equation is going to be what?
2x plus 2y plus 1z equals 3
Perfect. Okay, did you guys get that? So 2 packs of gum, 2x. 3 candy bars, 3y. 1 bag of chips, z, equals 307. If you want to go through and write the x, y, and z on everything, if I go to the next one, it says purchasing the same brands. They paid $3.79 for 3 packs of gum. We know gum is x, candy bars is y, and chips is z. So when you write this equation, 3 packs of gum will be 3x. 2 candy bars is 2y, plus 2 bags of chips is 2z, equals, but this one, they said the number first, and that is 3.79. Then we have a third person bought 4 packs of gum, so that's our 4x, 4 candy bars, 4y, 3 bags of chips, z, and then that's $6.01. So we'll write that equation. 4x plus 4y plus 3z equals $6.01. Okay, so this is a long one, okay, because you're going to actually get an answer. So let's look here at okay, see how all the x's are totally different, yes? So that might not be the best one. The y's, all totally different. The z's, do you want to know what I like best about the z's? Like this one, I can multiply by -3 and cancel those 2 out. Then I can multiply it by a -2 and cancel these 2 out. So to me, the z's look the easiest. But you could do whatever you want. Just remember, you're going to have to end up canceling out the same variable in 2 different ways. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and cancel out z's. So I'm taking these 2 equations, but I have to multiply the top one by what? -2. So we're going to make that our step 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply through by -2 to the top equation. We have -4x minus 6y minus 2z equals -614. Okay, so my next equation, hopefully am I going okay in terms of speed? Yeah. We're going to take the first one and the last one, but this time I'm going to multiply through by what? In order to get rid of my z's, if I'm looking at my first and last equation, what do I need to multiply by? -3. So this time I'm going to multiply through by, oh wait a second, sorry, I skipped a step, didn't I? Okay, what do I need to do next? Just rewrite that second equation. Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay, so we add down. -4x and 3x makes -x. -6y and a +2y makes -4y. The z's cancel, which was the purpose. And -614 and 375. Or 379 ends up making correct, -2.35 is correct. Okay, are we all okay there? Sorry for any confusion. Are we good? Yeah. Okay, so step 2, we need another equation with just x and y. So I already talked about this. We want to use the first one and the last one, but to get rid of our z's again, we have to multiply the top by -3. Okay. So we multiply -3 through and we get -6x minus 9y minus 3z equals, and -3 times 3.07 is -921. Okay, and then I don't have to do anything to the last equation. We are just rewriting it. So we have 4x plus 4y plus 3z equals 6.01. When we add down, -6x and 4x makes -2x. -9 and +4 makes -5y. Our z's cancel. And then it equals, when you subtract there and take the sign of the bigger number, we get negative 320. Perfect. Okay, so now we're looking at these two equations. Okay? What's going to be the easiest variable to eliminate? X. In order to eliminate the x's, what will I need to do? Good, you're going to have to multiply by a negative 2 in order to make it a positive 2, right? So here is step 3. So negative 2 times negative 1 makes a positive 2x. Negative 2 times negative 4y makes a positive 8y. Negative 2 times negative 2.35 equals, good, 470 is correct. This equation, I don't have to do anything to it. We are just going to rewrite it underneath. Negative 2x minus 5y equals negative 320. These cancel. We have 3y equals, good, 150. We divide by 3 to both sides, and what does y equal? .50, which is 50 cents. So if you want, back at the top where you had said things, I'm going to go ahead and put that candy is 50 cents. Okay, so now I start to find x and z. What do you think will be easiest to do next? Which variable? X's. Why are x's easy? Good, all you have to do is plug it into one of these equations, right? And I'm thinking this one looks easier just because it's smaller, but you could use either one. Okay? So my step 4 now is going to be written as negative x minus 4 times 0.50 or 0.5 equals negative 2.35. Okay, so then I have negative x. When you multiply negative 4 times 0.50, what do you get? Good, negative $2 or negative 2 equals negative 2.35. What do I do now? Add 2 to both sides, right? Because we're trying to x by itself. Okay, so 2, remember that's 2.00 if you want to line up decimals. We have negative x equals what? Nope. Negative and a positive, what do? Subtract and take the sign of the bigger number, so it's going to be what? Good, negative 0.35, which means that x is actually going to equal what? 0.35, because you would divide by negative 1 to both sides to cancel out those negatives, and 2 negatives make a positive. And it wouldn't make sense that they would give you money for taking something from their store, right? Okay, so gum is 35 cents. Bless you. All right, so the last one we have to find is z. What will be the easiest equation to work for finding z? I think the very first one, I agree. Why does the very first one look the easiest? The z is already by itself. You're not going to have to divide anything. So we have to plug our x and y value in here and solve for z. So here's my step 5. We are going to write this as 2 times, and x we know is 0.35, plus 3 times, and y is 0.5 or 0.50, plus z equals 3.07. What is 2 times 0.35? Good, 0.70. Plus 3 times 0.5 is 1.5, right? 3.50 cents, make it $1.50. Okay. Plus z equals 3.07. Next step would be to add those two together, and 0.70 and $1.50 add together and make 2.2 plus Z equals 3.07. What do I do now? Good. Subtract 2.2 to both sides. And I'm going to write that as 2.20. And we find that Z equals, good, we have to borrow, and 0.87 is correct. So those are my answers. Pretty exciting, I know. Try to contain your excitement. Okay. All right. Last one, example 6. This one's a little easier. I'd like you guys to start by trying just to write the 3 equations. These ones are going to be a little different. Always label X, Y, and Z, I think. I think it's the easiest. You can do D, R, and O if you want to, but remember O can sometimes be confusing. I'm going to use X, Y, and Z. So X for diamond, Y for ruby, Z for opal. So I just want you to try to write the 3 equations on your own. So your first equation, if I look through here, it says the diamond and a ruby together weigh 6 carats. So we said diamond is X and ruby is Y. So you should have written X plus Y equals 6. So far so good? Okay, next equation, it says together the ruby, we said ruby is Y, and the opal, which is Z, weigh 12 carats. So I'm going to write that as Y plus Z equals 12. The last one says the diamond and the opal. We said diamond is X and opal is Z, weigh 10 carats. So X plus Z equal 10. Find the weight of each of the individual stones. So I have 3 variables. I have 3 equations. We can find the answer. So we need 2 equations that have the same 2 variables. So if you look, these 2 equations, if I end up multiplying one of them by a negative, do you see how easily the z's will cancel out and I'll end up with an x and a y? Do you guys see that? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So my step 1, which one should I multiply by a negative? The bottom one? Okay, so we can multiply the bottom one here by -1. When I do that, I get negative x. I'm going to leave a blank for y just so things kind of line up. And then I'm going to have a negative z equals -10. Are you guys okay with that? And then we're going to put the next one, so I kind of have a blank here for my x, and then I have plus y plus z equals 12. So the whole purpose was for the z's to cancel out, right? Which they do. And I have a negative x plus y equals what? 2. Perfect. Okay, now this one is already x and y, right? And if you look at these, do you have to do anything to make them cancel out? No. Okay, so step 2 here, I'm going to rewrite this equation, x plus y equals 6, and then rewrite the equation I made, which is negative x plus y equals 2. We add down, these cancel, we have 2y equals 8. To solve, we divide by 2 to both sides, which means that y equals 4. Good. Okay, so that means, and we didn't even write it over to the side, but diamond was x, which equals 4. We still need ruby, which is y, and opal, which is z. Okay, so, oh, just kidding, that was not right, and you were going to correct me. You can have a candy. Okay, ruby is 4. Okay, so what's going to be the next one that will be easy to plug into to find an answer? Yeah, I could even go back to like my original equation over here because they're all positives, and I can plug in to my first equation. So step 3 here, I'm going to write x plus 4 equals 6. We subtract 4 and we find that x equals 2. So x is 2. Diamonds are 2. And the last step is to find the z. Which would be the easiest to find z? Good. The last one, because then you just have z. So my step 4 is 2 plus z equals 10. Subtract 2, and we find that z equals 8. So we have our answers. Okay.